Hey everybody. So, if you've ever wondered when what is meant when someone says, "Oh man, we're down a rabbit hole," this is exactly an example. Or what we've been working on is exactly an example. And so what we're working on at 30,000 feet from, the overall vantage point is a something so that we can control 3JS objects, like a UI to control 3JS objects. I want to be able to just, I haven't tried this in a while, just add a mesh and then maybe add some animations to it. Let's see, two, and we'll just animate it, which then will make it sort of rotate around and be able to change the different kinds of stuff, and that's really what this is all about, is being able um, to do stuff like that. That's the whole point. Um, but as we were sort of moving down the path, it was like, oh, it would be kind of nice if we can learn about validations. And so we added this validation so that you get a warning whenever you type something in wrong. And then it was kind of like, well, we really shouldn't be able to even type it in, which that's a whole nother set of things, which we haven't gone down that part of the rabbit hole. So if we're going down, that's the thing about rabbit holes, is when they go down, you find forks, and then there's like a fork back here or another hole. And then you decide, oh, okay, no, we're going to stay down this hole. And then it was like, oh man, whenever, this UI isn't going to be the only way to ever get things into this system. Really, the major reason this system exists is so that you can create these objects. And at some point, we want to do file uploads. So the UI is very specific to the validations, the natural validations that are sort of prescribed by Angular. The Angular team are very, very specific to forms, so there are these validations and stuff, validators. So it's like, well, we really do want higher level validations, and we want them to stay consistent. So, we're kind of headed down this hole, and now it's kind of like, well, since we're doing this, shouldn't we like maybe just make some kind of function? Well, we do. I do want to be able to know what validations go to what. It's not good enough just to build the verb of the thing that knows how to validate, but we also need to know what is supposed to be validated. And so then there's that, and then so it's like, well, when it so I need to add something right into the validation routine, that like, so that I can say, hey, for the scene fog density, what's the validation? And then if I said, well, for seeing fog blue, what's the validation? And I would probably respond with none. But for this one, I want to respond with positive float. It has to be a positive float. So there's that. And then thing is, well, like, shouldn't we just make some common thing where we just feed it what it wants and it gives us a control back? And then that, I would say, the most important thing about working and finding foxholes, rabbit holes, and then deciding, oh, you know, is there's a point where you've gone where you could keep on going, but maybe it's too far, right? And I think that point would be on making like a common way of creating form controls, because we're not really trying to build a form control system. We're trying to build a 3JS system, and while having some kind of thing that creates like a form control factory, a Showtime form control factory, something like that would be neat and interesting. It's not what we're here for, and I don't think that I don't think that form controls and all that may not even be a thing in the future. Like, there might be a point where like I do all my stuff in Excel and then import it and never ever go to any of these forms, and then eventually go, why do I even have these forms, and get rid of them all? You know, so I don't really want to build like this ultimate form control factory thing, you know, like that's as far as I want to go on that, but I still want to get to the point where like, why are we even typing in a? We just want to get rid of that. But I also won't, you know, so anyways, so I think the next step is for me to create a function that lives in our generic validation that's higher up and that accepts a path. So in this case, the path would be scene and fog density, and then returns a value. And in this case, there's only two values, and those values would be none for no validation, and the other value would be positive float. And that's it. And then maybe another function. Yeah. So, anyways, that's one. And so we're still kind of going down this rabbit hole a little bit. Then we probably need another function where I say, oh, for positive float, what are the validators? And it gives me those back. And then that's probably as far down that rabbit hole we need to go. Then to go back and find another hole that we need to go down is like the key up validation. So I want to totally make it impossible to enter like a letter or a like a colon or a special symbol or anything. The only thing that you should be able to enter into this is 0 through 9 and a decimal and decimal points and that or period, and that's it. That's all you should be able to enter. And then at that point, I feel like, and I don't think any of that validation or code or anything needs to be at the generic level. It can be all at the component level because it's component specific. It's actually keyboard specific. It's, you know, and I don't see myself ever importing that into Excel or whatever I decide to use to maintain it. So I think the next step is to go into our validation service. Well, I think the next step is to create a new interface, and the new interface should have our validation types in it, and then anything else in the future that we ever need for validations. So, and I need to look because I think we're in a really weird place. So this is specific for adding our new interface, our types, our new, this is for adding fog. So we already finished that. Okay, so this is all for adding fog. So I'm going to see if I can get away with doing a commit that has nothing to do with validation. So I don't know if I can, but so this guy, and I don't want to do anything that is not related to validations. So I don't know if that's going to be possible. Okay, so I don't want this console log anymore. I definitely don't want that to go into, I don't want that to get committed, and I don't want this to get committed. So now I'm down another rabbit hole because basically what I'm working on now is a commit, you know, in this video instead of actually doing work. Okay, so this, I think all of this can be committed. And the other thing is I want to make sure I don't do a commit that leaves the application in a broken state. And I'm going to have to, I don't know if I can actually take, okay, so validation service is definitely about validation. This is about validation. Okay, so I don't know if there's anything about validation in here. I don't think, oh, this is about validation. But if fog density has error. So the only thing about validation is this. Everything else is not about validation. So what I can try to do, and I don't know if this is gonna end up being, I mean, I'm trying some stuff here that I don't know um, if this is gonna work out or not. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select this, and I'm going to, I felt like there was a way to just, yeah, stage selected range. So I'm just gonna stage from here, that, and I'm gonna stage this. And I'm going to stage all of this. And so what I'm doing is I'm selecting part of the file that I'm going to add to the commit, and I'm hoping to be able to leave part of the file out of the commit. So not everything is in this commit. So here's where I'm going to I just don't want this validation stuff to be in there. All right, so basically everything except for this is staged. So if we were to go look at our scene manager, this is everything that's going to be in the commit. And this is I'm pretty happy with this. It's okay because I don't think anything is going to break. I'm not going to, so validator, scene manager. Yeah, so this is going to be the hardest one. Okay, so we definitely know we don't want UI, any of this. So this is the last thing we need to figure out. Okay, so we know we want the fog color changes. We know that. So let's go ahead and stage that. So I wouldn't have to do this had I done a commit as soon as I got fogs working. Okay, so fortunately I don't think anything in here cares about any of this. Oh yeah, so here's where I'm going to run into problems because fog density validators is part of all of this stuff. All right, so I know I'm just going to kind of live in denial for the moment and just do what I can do and then kind of circle back and see if I may have to just bail from all of this. Okay, I don't even want this. Okay, I know I don't want this UI validation service. I think these two imports are fine. This one is fine. This one is fine. And I do this like all the time for work. and you know, where I've kind of gone too far and I don't want everything to be in a single commit. Okay, so right now I have my fog and my control, and then this is what created fog density. Okay, so basically I won't have a fog density, which would break everything on the template because the template is assuming there's a fog density. Right? So let's go back to the template real quick. Maybe it makes sense to get rid of to unstage everything that has anything to do with fog density. I'm looking for the markup. Okay, so background color we definitely want. This near and far. Okay, so I think we should get rid of everything that has to do with fog density. We should unstage that. And I don't know, maybe even that. I guess that is confusing. Okay, so I'm going to unstage this. I don't know what the dog down there. I think that one of the dogs is upset that the other dog has a bone. So she is protesting. Give validation service. This, okay, so this is just the fog density stuff. Validation. This is all fog density stuff. Render. But we do want this stuff. This was all about just reorganizing it so that it made more sense. And then this one. Yeah, so we had some timing issues early on that we fixed. So it would have been nice if that had been its own commit. Knowing when to and when not to commit things is just such a skill, such an underrated skill. And I definitely blew it this time. Okay, so this just removes. Okay, so can I just, I don't know what to do here. Because I want everything here down. Can I just say, what is this? Update scene. I think all of that we want. Just want to see what's on the back side of this. Yeah, so that's good. We don't want anything to do with fog density. Yeah, because we're not even going to have a form value. So let's stage selected. Now, to be completely transparent here, I will never even find out if this commit is a good commit or not, because I'm probably never going to try it. Okay, what does this do? Okay, so that's all fog density, so I don't care about that. But basically what I want is for my validation commit to be a little cleaner. That's the main goal of this thing I'm doing right now. All right. I think that all makes sense. I hope it works. I'm not going to be too worried about it. I don't think it'll ever matter. So status. Okay, so that's all my changes. Get commit dash m. What is this? This is video 261. Adds untested fog. Missing validation. So that means I'm in a very vulnerable state right now, because typically you can just roll back to, if you've messed up, you can just roll back to what you had before and you're good. But in this case, I won't be able to. And the reason I did that was because the validation is a little goofy, and I want that to all be in one commit and by itself. I think, well, so I guess it makes sense to add the validation now, because it does, everything works. The one thing is I would like it to change so that this, so that there's a way that the validation service can, inform the application what kind of validation fog density has. And then something that I can then, and kind of treat that like a token. And then that would probably be like a string that says validation, or the validation is positive float. And then that little token, then I can use that token to go get the validators list. And then once I have the validators list, populate this. And so I think I should add that too. So now I can just add everything. So now at least I know I have one working commit. And this is video 261. Adds validation. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Get status. Okay, so anyway, so next time, basically what I want to do is I want to create an interface. And that interface will basically just have two values. It's just going to be the validation types. It's all it's going to have is a types in there, and that's the validation types, which are at this point will be none and positive floating. And then I want to add some kind of code that says that will take my positive floating and then return an array, and that array will be this positive floating values service. And then, so this won't be a push. This will be more like a valid fog density validators equals the result of that. And then that will be done. And hopefully that all works. And then if that all works, then hang on one second. Pebbles, shush. And if that works, so my German Shepherd Gretchen, I think, she's sitting on the bed, and Pebbles, I guess, for some reason can't figure out how to get on the bed. So she's upset because she wants to play with the German Shepherd, and the German Shepherd's 7 years old, and she doesn't want to play with a 1-year-old Staffordshire Terrier. Oh, now she's up on the bed. So that was weird. Anyways, yeah, so then the idea will be to add the key up validation and then circle back around. I think fog density is in. Okay. Then we have to go into the scenes, and we need to do make the near and far configurable for linear fog, and then those I believe are also positive floating numbers. And so those can use the same validation, and hopefully that's really dirt simple at that point. So we've done all this heavy lifting work to build out this this architecture, and then that will make it easier to, hopefully it's really simple to then reuse that one, and then as we move through the application, it'll be easier to add validation to everything. But anyways, looks like my dogs need a walk. So happy coding, everybody. Bye.